Good morning, dear students. Today I will be teaching you the sacral plexus. Sacral plexus, it is formed by upper four sacral nerves and by lumbosacral trunk. So lumbosacral trunk, it is formed by the union of L4 and L5 nerves. S1, S2 and S3, S4. So upper four sacral nerves and this lumbosacral trunk, which is formed by the union of L4 and L5. These nerves, they form so-called sacral plexus. Now L4, L5, S1 and S2, they divide into anterior and posterior divisions. L4, L5, S1 and S2 nerves, they divide into anterior and posterior divisions. So I will show you by drawing anterior division separately and posterior division separately, and you will see what are the branches from the anterior and posterior divisions of these nerves. Okay. So let us start with the posterior division. The posterior divisions are these: L4, L5, S1, S2. L4, L5, S1 and S2. So these unite and they form the so-called the posterior divisions of L4, L5, S1, S2. They unite to form common peroneal nerve. Common peroneal nerve. Common peroneal nerve. It is formed by posterior divisions of L4, L5, S1, S2. Okay, which is a part of sciatic nerve. A part of sciatic nerve. So then, what are the other branches from the posterior divisions of the L4, L5, S1, S2? The branches arising from the posterior divisions: number one, the superior gluteal nerve. It arises from L4, L5 and S1. L4, L5 and S1 and S1, they give rise to superior gluteal nerve. What is the root value of the superior gluteal nerve? L4, L5 and S1. So posterior divisions of L4, L5, S1, S2, they unite into the form common peroneal nerve, which is a part of sciatic nerve. And posterior divisions of L4, L5, S1, so these, they give rise to superior gluteal nerve. The root value is L4, L5, S1. Then the inferior gluteal nerve also arises from the posterior divisions from L5, S1, S2. L5, S1, S2. So we have one branch from these. The L5, S1 and S2, they give rise to inferior gluteal nerve. Inferior gluteal nerve. Root value is L5, S1 and S2. So posterior divisions of L5, S1 and S2. They give rise to inferior gluteal nerve. So let me repeat. Posterior divisions of L4, L5, S1, S2, they give rise to, they unite and they form common peroneal nerve, which is a component of the sciatic nerve. Then L4, L5, S1, they give rise to superior gluteal nerve. The root value is L4, L5, S1. The inferior gluteal nerve arises from the posterior divisions of L5, S1 and S2. Okay. Then we have nerve to piriformis arises from S1 and S2. Nerve to piriformis, it arises from S1 and S2. Let me show you here. This is S2 and this is S1. So nerve to piriformis arises from S1 and S2. Nerve to piriformis arises from S1 and S2. Then we have perforating cutaneous nerve. Perforating cutaneous nerve, it arises from S2 and S3. Perforating cutaneous nerve arises from S2 and S3. One thing you have to remember, the S3 does not divide into anterior and posterior divisions. S3 does not divide into anterior and posterior divisions. Remember that. So I will draw this with pink color. S3 does not divide into anterior and posterior divisions, but nerve 2 or the perforating cutaneous nerve, it arises from posterior divisions of S2 and S3. Nerve 2 perforating cutaneous nerve arises from S2 and S3. Perforating cutaneous nerve arises from S2 and S3. Then the last one, the posterior cutaneous nerve of thigh, it receives contributions from posterior divisions of S1, S2 and also S3. So let me show you here. Posterior cutaneous nerve of thigh arises from posterior divisions of S2, S3, S1, S2 and S3. Posterior cutaneous nerve of thigh. Posterior cutaneous nerve of thigh. Root value is S1, S2, S3. So these are the nerves arising from the posterior division of L4, L5, S1, S2, S3. Let me repeat. The posterior divisions of L4, L5, S1, S2, they unite and they form common peroneal nerve, which is a component of sciatic nerve. Then posterior divisions of L4, L5 and S1, they form superior gluteal nerve. Posterior divisions of L5, S1 and S2, they form inferior gluteal nerve. Posterior divisions of S1 and S2, they form nerve to piriformis. Then perforating cutaneous nerve arises from S2 and S3. S3 does not divide into anterior and posterior divisions, that you have to remember. Then the last one, the posterior cutaneous nerve of thigh, arises from posterior divisions of S1, S2 and S3. Right? So basically the posterior cutaneous nerve of thigh arises from both the posterior division and the anterior divisions. Okay, so the root value is S1, S2 and S3. So these are the branches arising from the posterior divisions of these nerves. So all these nerves have been shown in yellow. So this is posterior division. Posterior division. Now let me discuss about the anterior division. The anterior division will be shown in blue color. Anterior divisions. Okay. Now branches. The anterior divisions of these L4, L5, S1, S2 and S3, they unite to form tibial part of the sciatic nerve. The anterior divisions of the anterior divisions of L4, let me show you here. Pause. Now let us discuss about the anterior divisions. So anterior divisions of L4, L5, S1, S2 and S3, which does not divide into anterior and posterior division, but these nerves they unite in the form tibial part of the sciatic nerve. So anterior divisions of L4, L5, S1, S2 and this nerve, the S3, so they unite and they form tibial part of sciatic nerve. Tibial part of sciatic nerve. Tibial part of sciatic nerve. So the root value is L4, L5, S1, S2, S3. L4, L5, S1, S2 and S3. Then what are the other branches arising from the anterior divisions? We have nerve to quadratus femoris arises from L4, L5, S1. L4, L5, S1. From the anterior division of L4, L5 and S1. Nerve to quadratus femoris. From anterior divisions of L4, L5 and S1. L4, L5 and S1, they give rise to nerve to quadratus femoris, nerve to quadratus femoris. That is L4, root value is L5 and S1. So anterior divisions of L4, L5, S1 give rise to nerve to quadratus femoris. And the nerve to the obturator internus arises from L5, S1, S2. L5, S1, S2. Anterior divisions of L5, S1 and S2, they give rise to nerve to obturator internus. Nerve to obturator internus. So L5, S1, S2 is the root value of nerve to obturator internus. So from the anterior. So till here, what are the branches from the anterior division? The anterior divisions of L4, L5, S1, S1, S2 and S3. They unite and they form tibial part of the sciatic nerve. Root value is L4, L5, S1, S2, S3. Then antidivisions of L4, L5 and S1, they unite and they form nerve to particles femoris. Then antidivisions of L5, S1 and S2. Antidivisions of L5, S1 and S2 give rise to nerve to object or internals. Then we have branches from the anterior division, that is levator, nerve to levator area and coccygeus, and the sphincter ani externus. They derive from S4. Nerve to pause. So muscular branches from S4, we have nerve to levator area, nerve to levator ani, coccygeus and sphincter ani externus. So these muscles are supplied by S4. So the root value of these nerves, nerve to levator ani, coccygeus and sphincter ani externus, they are derived from S4. And we have one more nerve which arises from the S2, S3 and S4, that is pudendal nerve, right? Now branches from S2, S3 and S4, S2, S3 and S4, they give rise to pelvic splanchnic nerves. The antidivisions of S2, S3 and S4 gives rise to pelvic splanchnic nerves. So these nerves will supply pelvic viscera. S3, S4, S2, S3, S4. S2, S3, S4 is the root value. The antidivisions of S2, S3 and S4, they supply the pelvic visceral organs. So the nerves which are known as the pelvic splanchnic nerves. So there is one more nerve which is formed by the S4 and from the ventral divisions of S2 and S3, that is pudendal nerve. So the S2, S3 and S4 also gives rise to a very important nerve which is known as the pudendal nerve. S2, S3 and S4 gives us an important nerve known as pudendal nerve. Okay? Pudendal nerve, the root value is S2, S3 and S4. So these are the branches from the sacral plexus. It looks complicated, but you can draw this diagram separately. Branches from the posterior division and branches from the anterior division. Now, I have discussed in detail about few nerves in my PowerPoint lecture. Okay, thank you very much, and remember what are the branches from the posterior division and the anterior division.